on this week's episode of Tides of Lore.
Eated and deleted.
Filthy good for nothing night elves.
What need doing?
When the fires finally fade, nothing remains. A vast crater glowing beneath falling ash.
Tony Two-Tusk? Hey, done!
Apparently someone wants herself some tear gas.
I mean, dude, they want anything that'll give them a leg up. When has Malfurion said anything and anyone's laughed?
Alright, an extortion plotline.
I wouldn't trust a pirate.
Honor Krom'gar. No matter how dire the battle, never forsake it.
Every episode of Tides of Lore is made possible by our amazing supporters. Thank you so much to Xander Harris, Jake Hilpert, Pewter City Gym Leader, Arulianus, The Away Fan, Insulin FTW, Bubba BSE, Arez Jerry, Watto21, and Mo. Your guys' support truly means the world to us, and if you guys would like to join the Tide, check us out on YouTube or Patreon. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the 50th episode of Tides of Lore. My name is Robert Silva. I am one half of your host team, joined literally as always by my good friend Tim. How you doing this week, man? 50 episodes, that's crazy.
Yeah, almost a year, man. Time flies. So remember, it's crazy to think about. Remember why the channel started? I made a shitty YouTube video and you were like, I can do better than that. And then you did. And here we are, 50 episodes deep. It's cool, man. I enjoy it. I've been playing.
What do you mean a shitty YouTube video? What do you mean a shitty YouTube video?
Remember, I remember distinctly. I made it was either my Mythic Plus guide or my Zekfear guide, and you were like, your video inspired me. I'm gonna make a lore channel, and then you took off, dude. You just, you didn't stop. Grinded. It's great. I love it.
I can't remember. I just remember really wanting to talk about lore and not do it on fucking Reddit or comment sections because those make me want to swallow my fucking foot sometimes. But yes, you were saying, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're good.
How you been?
I've been good, man. I play a little bit of WoW, a Legion Remix, they came out with a new patch. I've been doing that. But I've been playing Pokemon. I mean, you've been playing Pokemon too, dude. Poke MMO. It's like, dude, Pokemon MMO in one. It's honestly a cool concept. I've been really enjoying it. I've been playing it on PC, playing it on my Steam Deck. It's been fun as hell. I've been enjoying it. I'm doing an all steel team in Emerald, and it's fun. I love steel, dude. Steel's the coolest. Oh, dude. They take like no damage. They do big damage. Name a steel Pokemon that's bad. Changed my mind.
You keep telling me this. It was the cog one. That's what we decided.
Oh, fuck. Clink Clank? Fuck.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I guess Clink Clank kind of.
But it's not your fault. They ran out of ideas at that point in generations.
But other than that, yeah, like that feels pretty badass, dude. I enjoy it.
Yep. I mean, you inspired me and Bub to join you and play as well. So we've been doing that. I just been enjoying playing. We've been playing Gen 3, just so everyone's aware. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been so many years. Like, I'm trying to remember. Like, the only time that I've played it was when I would randomly find my Game Boy SD and just be like, it's time to start up another save. But I wouldn't, like, finish it, dude. I would just, like, eventually put the Game Boy down. But having the group and everybody doing it, it's a lot of fun.
Well, it's also harder than, like, harder AI, harder moves. Like, they have crazy moves. There's a Talo, or I remember a Zigzagoon that knew like a crazy electric move, and we were like pre-level 10. It was crazy.
Every time I get Thunder Punched, I'm like, you bitch!
Yeah. Or
who taught you that?
Fire Fang, Lava Plume, Talo with Lava Plume is crazy, dude, especially on my all steel run. I forget, I was at the flying gym. They all knew Earthquake, bro. I was getting fucked on for my steel.
Nasty people out there. I mean, but yeah, that perfectly bleeds into what I've been doing because I've just been playing Pokemon right there with you. I've been really enjoying it. Like, so much to the point where I was like, honestly, like, to be 100% honest, like, questioning, I was like, do I just want to, like, take a break from the podcast for a week? Obviously not forever. Just make this so clear before anyone's heart drops.
I play some Pokemon.
Just because I played it, like, Well, I played it all weekend, and I had not edited the podcast, which I admit is why it came out late on Tuesday. Or at least I edited it up to a point where I was like, okay, we're good. I was wrong about how much I had left to do. But, it was just like a really relieving moment. I will say, then you guys started pouring in your awesome comments. It even specifically was being like, never stop making videos and stuff like that. And I was like, no. A break is not needed. I got this. But yeah, I mean, I just enjoying the whole weekend. Basically, I really kind of just shut off. I didn't go on social media really. I didn't do really anything. Just hung out with my fiance, played some Peak with her, played some Pokemon, talked to you guys. It's been a good time.
Oh yeah.
But that's what's been going on with us this last week. Last week in the podcast, we ended up discussing some of the opening zones when you would begin the Cataclysm expansion if you're on the Horde side, if you're an orc or a troll or, a handful of races. What do you remember about that episode, Tim?
It was basically like you were just starting out as an orc, but in Cataclysm, right? So we talked about like the starting zones of Durotar. Some of it's similar though. Like, dude, you'd kill like someone that you already killed in like Classic, which I found interesting. Like, how do they come back? Right? What is the lore on that? You know?
I think the lore behind them, like characters that you would see that you're like, oh, I killed that guy back in this expansion, is like the idea that, like, say your character never existed and you were just barely starting playing WoW in Cataclysm, right? That character has not been killed yet. They've just survived until the Cataclysm. I think it's kind of iffy. I wish they would kind of maybe replace all this stuff, but I do like it because some of these quests do get expanded in good ways. But yeah, at least that's the way I've looked at it. Because as a person starting in Cataclysm, that's the way I've always seen it. I was like, these are just the quests.
Maybe it's just, but a lot of other quests, like areas completely change, and then like the quest lines do diverge from other ones. It's like, I don't know how they choose what actually happened.
And today we're going to go into a lot of similar stuff that we were doing last week. So I think we will see a lot more stuff that you're like, oh yeah, that's really similar as well. But yeah, again, just like it's slightly changed. I don't necessarily know why, but I'm here for it. So, but specifically we talked about Ashenvale and we talked about Ajara, like you said. Yeah, the war in Ashenvale once again kept going on, this time with the aid of you being the greatest level 5 orc since the last level 5 orc. You helped to roll through and claim most of the land from the Night Elves for the Horde, as well as before that, you aid the goblins in their new zone of Ajara that you see is just a mechanized crazyscape. Dude, as I was editing that part, I was like, God, the goblin stuff is just so crazy. Like, I mentioned in the video how it's like, it feels like sometimes naming things, they just spin the wheel and they're like, all right, that's the name. And the goblin stuff, sometimes it feels like they just spin a wheel and they're like, all right, an extortion plotline. A plotline about building a Walmart.
A Walmart? Did that happen?
No, but there was like we made a joke because it was like, this dude wanted to pave over this like magical lake. And I was like, and hopefully build a Walmart.
Maybe with like a nice little parking center too.
Yep. Like obscenely large, like one that you would never be able to fill. But yeah, that's mostly what we talked about, and we're going to kind of keep going down this route. We did mention at the end of that episode being like, I kind of want to maybe move into some of the end game stuff, but I also realized that the quest lines that those last ones lead into are pretty important to the story, so we're going to keep going down the route we were. But before that, we had some comments from you guys last week, and that's where I'll throw it over to my boy Tim. What did you want to highlight from last week, Tim?
Oh, I've been glazing. Time Lost Crow. We talking about you again, my friend. Man, I feel I got to defend Malfurion. That's why we're talking about this. First off, we got beef. Time Lost Crow. And to me, Malfurion is a senile old man. Okay, I'm okay with that. He's a doubting husband, an easily distracted guy. Apparently, he likes gardening. There are things to like about the guy, and I bet he has a great sense of humor. We're going to stop right there. When has Malfurion said anything and anyone's laughed? Rob, can you tell me a time? I don't think there is one, man. He's the most stale, I don't know, Time Lost Crow. Enlighten with the humor that you've gotten from Malfurion, because I don't think there's been a time I've laughed from anything he said.
There was the time at the end of the Dragonflight expansion where he implies that he's gonna smash Tyrande in front of Andres.
Did that happen?
That did fucking happen.
Well, I'll have to look into that.
So the comment that I wanted to highlight is Nick App over on Spotify saying, I started listening a couple weeks ago when I ran out of hours to listen to on Spotify's audiobooks, which is the worst fucking feature on the planet, by the way. If you're going to have audiobooks, just have audiobooks. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm part of Audible Gang as much as they take advantage of me too. And funny enough, I was on Wolfheart, but I finished today and I am looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say about it. Been playing WoW on and off all my life, but you guys have reminded me the amazing story behind every zone, and I have found a new appreciation every time I play. And I think that is just poetic. I mean, we've mentioned it before that when we play the game, it's like, oh yeah, this is this zone now, this is this now, but even I feel like it's translated into other games as I've done this podcast and stuff, where now I'm in Pokemon and I have to go into this person's house and I'm like, what do you do? What's going on with you?
What's your whole thing?
Like, what is yeah, like what? Oh, you're the strength guy. Yeah, okay, cool. And obviously, like, there's benefits to that being an RPG game, but I just, as a child growing up, I would have never done that. I would have reached a point where I was like, damn, where do I get this? And then I would have looked around an area or something.
Oh,
like
you don't
that,
just talk to everyone?
That's really fun.
You gotta talk to everyone.
Not usually. I mean, as I've grown up, yeah, but a little bit more. But certainly as we've done this podcast, like, it's just reached another level. I'm curious. I want characters to feel alive in my stories a lot more. And I want environments to feel like that too. And I think that is something that WoW has done really well for me throughout its lifespan regardless. But the other thing that I did want to lock in on this was him saying that you've been playing WoW on and off all your life. It made me think. I was like, we've had a few comments now being like, I started playing this time, I started playing a year ago. When did you guys start playing World of Warcraft? Because Tim's mentioned he started back in Wrath. I mentioned just recently, started in Cataclysm. Really late into Cataclysm, just coming onto Mists. So I'm always fascinated to see the kind of different range of people that we have listening to us. And it is just so fascinating to see the range.
Wrath, baby.
Tim, what did you overall think of the Wolfheart novel? Just to quickly finish up on that.
Yeah, Varian's all right. I don't know. It was cool. I think
like
there were some boring alliance parts, but overall, I did like the progression of Varian. Some explanation of because you don't really hear about like his split personality or really anything like that in the game. So it's cool to see.
I think it's literally like the only way you find out much about it is if you just like click on him a lot. He'll eventually be like, I am Logosh, but I am also Varian. And then I imagine if you have no idea about the lore, you're just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. So it's cool to hear some of the reasons. Oh,
I will say that I think I kind of agree with you. Like a lot of the Alliance stuff was kind of boring, kind of felt generic maybe. Like I did like seeing the Worgen actually feel like they were trying to earn their spot back and not that it was forced. I know that Tim might not agree with that. But my favorite thing actually was how much appreciation I gained for Garrosh. I mentioned it how throughout the whole like time that we were talking about the novel, I was like I really like getting to see the tactician that Garrosh is supposed to be portrayed as. Like, it makes it feel so much better. And yes, it does reach a point where he gets too confident and he oversteps, right? But even then, it's like he was ultimately going to win that until this unforeseen event happened. And he still kind of stubbornly fights with Varian until he almost would have died. But I do love still seeing him just like know what these, again, because these Sentinels have been alive for 10,000 years, 5,000 years. Understanding what these warriors of ancient times are going to do before they even do it and be able to just cut them off at every pass, it's a really exciting thing for me to see. And I don't like Garrosh, so.
It was all Thrall's fault, dude. Like Garrosh in the way he did. You might not like Garrosh, but I think you should direct your anger.
Circumstantially, I'll agree, just because I'll say that if Thrall had just left his dumbass out in Nagrand, none of this would have happened.
Took him and didn't abandon him. Just say, I figure it out, dude. Like, kind of fucked up.
Come to the Maelstrom. You're going to be a shaman with me. But yeah, those are the comments that we got from you guys last week. We really appreciate those. And let us hop into this week's episode, shall we? Hey, Tim. Did you know that Tides of Lore is a Patreon now?
Oh, yeah? What do I get if I throw some support on Patreon?
You'll get ad-free episodes, a member shout-out, live stream access, and exclusive VODs, the full package.
So basically, skip the ads, get your name in the show, and help us keep telling Warcraft stories.
Exactly. Join the Tide at patreon.com/tidesoflore. So last week's episode, we ended up discussing like this path as if you were like this fresh starting orc making your way up through this new Horde campaign. And we're going to do something similar, because if you were starting off and you were making your way through all that and you stopped off in Orgrimmar, they actually tell you you can either go to Azshara, which I thought was the more important, like, in terms of the changing stories, or you can go to the Northern Barrens. And that is where we're going to have our episode split off today, as if you're a different guy. You're the next greatest level 5 warrior since the last latest 5 warrior they've rolled through here. And we're going to go into the Northern Barrens, which, I mean, just even that in general is something we need to discuss, because I feel like for a lot of the stuff that we've talked about in the Cataclysm so far, it's like, yeah, Ashenvale has like a volcano that's splitting through it, but most of the stuff that has happened in Ashenvale, like the update to the zone in the Cataclysm, has been because of the faction war. Most of the stuff that changed in Azshara has changed because of the goblins, not necessarily because of the Cataclysm itself. But then you reach the Barrens, and you see the Cataclysm in its mightiest form, where this once disturbingly long and fat zone has now been split in half, once tranquil, now overflowing with fury, this chasm carving its way through these once trade routes, and amid all of this, there are these various quilboar tribes that are just surging from their dens mindlessly. Tim, what do you think about when's the last time you did an updated Barrens run, if at all?
I don't know if I have. I mean, I've flown past. I've seen the Cataclysm dividing the Barrens into the northern and southern with the lava, like, ridge. But I don't think I've really leveled through it since it's been updated.
Yeah. Well, good, because we're about to talk about it today. Horde leadership is called upon you. They tell you that you need to go see this figure at the Farwatch post. And as soon as you arrive, he's like, you're the new grunt? Cool, good. Your job is to protect these caravans, defend the road, and hold the line against these ever-encroaching quilboar. You do this. You go, you break down these Razormane tribes, and you, through either attacking different ones or taking their resources, eventually you send a grim message that the Horde does not bend so easily to those dang quilboar. It still astonishes me that they decided to have a whole story where they're like, we can be friends with the quilboar, only for the very next, expansion to be like, and then there was more quilboar wars.
There's never been a peace with the quilboar.
Never. So I think that's another thing that I have to give Garrosh credit on at the very least, because what the f*** are you talking about, Bane? That didn't even last.
Didn't we just have... Wait, Bane wanted to do this?
Well, remember, Bane was like, we shouldn't kill those quilboar because they're just thirsty for water. And then he gives them water, and he's like, see, Garrosh, you were wrong. But then immediately, as soon as you go into that area of Mulgore, it's war with quilboar.
Yeah, not very smart.
Yep, not here for it. But all of this leads to a big conflict with their leader, Kreenig Snarlstout, which you eventually go and quite literally chop off the head of the beast to bring it back. As a sign of your victory, the Razormane defenders and Thornweavers falling before you as they try and defend their leader, where eventually you now have these roads and trade routes no longer under siege by these quilboar, these lifelines being protected, and they're like, hey, I'm going to have you escort one more caravan. This time you're going to go to this little outpost that you may or may not have heard of, the Crossroads. And as you escort this caravan over there, you get struck by ambush after ambush, but you're obviously the greatest orc since the last orc, and you manage to get through all of this. And as the dust settles over the Crossroads, Hunt Mistress of the settlement greets you with a measured nod and tasks you with more things that you got to do, specifically these zebra herds that have been running around the lands. They're quite angry apparently these days, and they've been emboldened by the Cataclysm's upheaval. They don't know what's going on, and they've just been apparently jumping a bunch of people. So you got to go out and hunt some zebra. And I did want to keep telling these stories because I like comparing the Cataclysm ones to the classic versions, which I know we didn't really talk about too much, but in the classic versions, they would say, go get 4 zebra hooves. and you would slaughter like 40 zebras for those hooves. You'd think, wow, a zebra should have 4 hooves, and it looks like it, doesn't it? Wrong.
Well, the hooves could be messed up, you know. It could have gotten hurt in battle.
Yeah, man. I just
They weren't pristine hooves.
seems like a pretty small target to hit. Like I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine like fighting 40 humans and only ending up with like 4 hands in total. Like, could you even? Oh yeah, no. This is just another time where I'm like, realism isn't necessary, but my God, is it funny sometimes. But yes, you go out, you purge these zebras. You end up going and chasing down a bunch of these savannah huntresses, which are these lions, essentially, and you do your best to adapt to the Barrens, striking first and never hesitating that death can easily come beneath this burning sun. And through your hardening out in the wilds of the Barrens, you are then given the task to go and take down one of these great beasts of reverence known as Echiaki, the white lion, said to be the spirit of the plains. So you go out there, you summon this creature with the call of a horn, and it emerges from the tall grass like a Pokemon. You don't put it in a Pokeball. As a matter of fact, you rip its flesh from its body to go take back as a prize. It seems like a pretty consistent thing amongst the Horde. But that is where you're then tasked with collecting raptor claws, as well as going around to the stagnant oases that exist around the Barrens. Now, we briefly talked about these oases back when we talked about the Wailing Caverns, because we did briefly talk about the Wailing Caverns 45 episodes ago. But all of that in this timeline is still going on. Gnarlex is still sleeping within the Wailing Caverns, but now at the very least, we do have the idea that what is being spread out both in these oases that have been popping up and with Gnarlex sleeping in the Wailing Caverns is the Emerald Nightmare, right? But you go, you face more raptors, you collect their eggs, and then soon your deeds reach the ears of a figure known as Thork, this stoic overseer of the crossroads, who is like, hey, some of my money vanished on the road down to Ratchet, so I need you to go find my money. And you're like, that is the most understandable thing ever, my good sir. I will aid you in this. So you go, you look for his money, and this trail leads north, these burned wagons, slain couriers, and clawed tracks that are gouged into the dirt. You to continue to pursue this Horde payroll, and you go off into the dry hills, where eventually you run into this figure by the name of Tonga Rune Totem, who I'm just gonna assume is related to Hamel, but they love to throw these names in here and never make it clear if like these guys actually know each other.
That's really weird.
Oh yeah. And eventually, you find the culprits who stole all of your money to be none other than, raptors, who like shiny things. Well, I guess there's that at least. This is one of those quests that they didn't really change. I always thought that it was just like a funny plot line. I was just like, raptors, huh? And then I just think of the raptors from Jurassic Park 3, where it's like, Alan.
They stole...
Alan, we need to steal the payroll. Alan.
Well, remember the Stolen Silver quest?
Yeah, this is that quest, but updated.
Yeah.
But with that handled, you now turn your attention to the other things that have been going on, and Tonga Rune Totem is going to help you out. Those pools that I was talking about, those oases, the Forgotten Pools, as they're called, they seem to be, well, sick. As you move through the area, the creatures there move sluggishly. Their forms seem to be somewhat twisted. The breathing almost dying breaths, like the Barrens itself is ill. So you go, you do some experiments for the druids, but that's when you run into your old enemies, at least if you're a Tauren and also doing this. Those centaur, somehow these guys have survived this long and they never learn, claiming the chaos of the Cataclysm to try and claim the Barrens in this long rivalry with the Tauren. They are now surging across the Barrens' lifelines, raiding caravans, ambushing patrols, and burning outposts. So you go, you commit acts of war upon these centaur that are trying to ruin your day. You burn some of their camps, you murder some of their people, you know, the standard stuff for Horde combat. And Tonga Rune Totem informs you that some of the stuff at the stagnant oasis were once these beasts that were familiar, but are now these crooked, completely twisted forms. And again, this is where we kind of know that this is a lot of the stuff that leads into Narlex within the Wailing Caverns and his connection to the Emerald Nightmare through that. If you're interested in that, we talk about it way back in the day, but we don't got time today because we got more of those dang centaur, specifically Bardock Kodobane. You know the man, right, Tim?
One more time, what was his name?
Bardock Kodobane?
Oh, this is the centaur that you have to kill a bunch and then he spawns in?
I think that's actually the next one, the dervish guy, right? Because you kill that guy, the so-called king of the centaur, and his banner falls. And as soon as his banner falls, the next guy, Varrock Dervish, pops up and he's like, actually, it's my turn. I lead now. But yeah, you go through, you kill so many of his followers that they have no choice but to scream for their leader to come and aid them. And he shows up and he's like, how dare you? And you floor him. Like, ungodly levels of floor him. And as he collapses into the dust, the wind carries away his cry, leaving only silence in his wake. And for the moment, the Baron seems to breathe again, but you know the truth that the centaur are still not quite done yet. But that comes back to those oases, because while you were over there, you found some of these little mushrooms, and they seemed really odd. So you decided to pick them up and take them on over to this alchemist that's over at the crossroads by the name of Apothecary Helbram. And you're like, hey, man, have you ever seen something like this? And they're like, no, I don't think I have. So you give them to him, and he's like, oh, yes, these are excellent. Like, good specimens. These are totally perfect. I've cultured these spores in my own mixture. Let's see how they fare in the wild. So you take them out to the stagnant oasis. The ground soft and damp beneath your boots, and with careful hands you plant his own fungal culture and step back, and for a heartbeat nothing happens, but then the soil shifts and these spores burst upward in clouds, glittering in the sunlight, burning your eyes, throat, and even your skin, as you're like, wow, that was a miserable experience. So you take that back to Helbram and you tell him that, and you're like, isn't that terrible? And he's like, yeah, terrible. Anyway, get this on the boat in Ratchet and take it over to Undercity. Apparently Sylvanas wants herself some tear gas too.
I mean, dude, they want anything, they'll give him a leg up.
So yeah, he gives you his research notes, he gives you his samples, and you are set for Ratchet. And as you make your way over there, you encounter a Forsaken who's like, hey, I'm the person you're supposed to meet and give the package to. And as you're going to give the package, a voice cuts through the air. Hold it. What are you two conspiring? As a Horde soldier, an orc by the name of Hargash strides forward, suspicion written in every movement, he demands the parcel, citing that the Warchief's growing distrust of the Forsaken's experiments has grown out of hand, and that he will be overseeing this. And at first, the Forsaken person's like, no, it's really nothing. And he's like, yeah, I'll be the one to determine that. The package once again quickly changing hands before it can truly end up where it needs to go. Or at the very least, was intended to go. I would say it's probably better it didn't go where it needs. But back in the crossroads, this figure by the name of Regthar Deathgate, a veteran orc commander of endless campaigns, fixes his gaze on the horizon and tells you that the centaur are on the move again. They stir, and we must respond or be swept away. So you are sent to go and be part of this Deathgate's reinforcements campaign. And that is essentially where it just means that you're going to go to Regthar's outpost and find that the Kolkar are attacking it in this full-scale siege, and just fight with them and kill as many of their people as you can, collect a lot of their armor to show that you killed as many of them as you can. You'll even go assassinate one more of the Centaur's lieutenants, if you will, Herzul Bloodmark, claiming his head for the Horde as well, which will lead to the full climax of the Centaur storyline, the counterattack, where as you're sitting there talking about how much you've destroyed these Centaur, this full-scale siege of Centaur comes pouring in to Regthar's outpost, where you are now forced to fight off as many of these Centaur as possible until their leader, Warlord Krom'gar, appears. And as he does, you murder him as well, planting your banner into his corpse to announce that this fight is very clearly over, and if you Centaur know any better and want to survive to another expansion, you should get on.
Or you kite him to Crossroads and you have the guards help you.
Or you don't do it at all because it's not worth it.
What do you?
Quest before it gives you the ring.
Oh, I thought you get the ring from this quest. I swear, dude.
You're probably right. I could be wrong. You're probably right. You've done it more than I have, so.
Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure you get the bow before
it's still a death trap in hardcore. Don't do counterattack. If you're new to hardcore, don't do it.
Do it with the group, dude. You don't even need to be in the group. You guys, you can see someone kill him. The banner goes down, and you can just click on the banner and you're good.
I still have add-on mentality. People would auto run
Yeah.
through that area and just get nuked from orbit. But that's where your quest finds you coming back to the town of Ratchet, the goblin village on the edge of on the coastline, where you come into contact with the ever ambitious Gazlo.
Keep it quick, kid. I ain't got all day.
I always like to remind people that this is the figure that built Orgrimmar, and I don't think he gets enough credit for that. But he tells you that there's this dirty pirate, Baron Longshore, that's been raiding his best cargo before the Alliance then crushed his fleet, and he wants his stuff back, and he wants you to go and find him. So you set out along the merchant coast, where eventually you find the remnants of a battle, and you find Baron Longshore shackled in an Alliance camp. So you go up, you talk to him a bit. He looks like he's been there for a while. Cracked lips, he's shackled wrists, very clearly worn, his eyes gleaming with some sort of mischief that seems to radiate from a pirate. And he tells you, you know what? If you set me free, I'll tell you where me treasure lies. And you're like, you're talking my language, Magic Man. I love loot. You do sense a little bit of deception, because why wouldn't you, right?
I wouldn't trust a pirate.
But he does tell you, why not?
Playing WoW, dude. All the pirates. It's always a death trap too. Are we gonna talk about the poly?
No, but we are going to talk about the South Sea Freebooters a bit later when we get to the Southern Baron stuff. Because there's another one that I wanted to talk about a bit more. But yes, he gives you this treasure map. He's like, go to the skull. You gather this withered pirate skull, you take it back to Gazlo, and he's like, good, excellent, go find the other stuff. You go out to the map, you find some buried gold, crates of schematics, trade contracts, and stolen treasure, all the things that you love in life, and you return to Gazlo, and he's like, this is good, that's excellent. Now we got that next problem, those Alliance ships that blew up all my boats. Yeah, they've gotten really confident since the Cataclysm, and they've been posted up over in Northwatch Hold, just free firing upon us. So I need you to do something about that. And you'll love the sound of that, because you go into there, you plant explosives and mines and sabotage all of their ships, and with one tremendous roar of detonation, Ratchet trembles as the Alliance supply ships burn in the harbor, their flames mirroring on the waves, as Gazlo watches from the docks, his coin pouch jingling as smoke curls into the sunset. He just says that is more like it. But peace is never a permanent thing on the merchant coast. Those South Sea freebooters, hey, yeah, those guys, they're in chaos right now. Specifically, there's a rebellion going on. A figure by the name of Tony Two-Tusk, a broad-shouldered
Tony
troll.
Two-Tusk?
Tony Two-Tusk, a broad
Actually?
yeah, Tony Two-Tusk. What's wrong with the name?
Not very Retar-esque.
He's a troll.
Yeah, trolls are for dirt.
But yes, he clashes with his own treacherous captain, Captain Garvey, in a mutiny that threatens to tear apart the fragile balance of the port, because this other Captain Garvey guy, he's actually been stealing a little bit off Gazlo's ships as well. So, seeing this opportunity, you're sent in to go aid Tony Two-Tusk and throw the mutiny in his favor a little bit, pushing Ratchets. And the storm of all of this comes to its apex at the Frey Island that becomes a storm of fire and shouting, the pirate mutiny erupting in full. Under Tony Two-Tusk's banner, you seize the pirates' coffers, plunder their hidden arms, and turn their own ships against each victory bringing you closer to the rebellion that you seek, where you then go to Captain Garvey's flagship, and in one final assault, cannons boom, sabers flash, and the sea burns, spilled with oil. Garvey's downfall is loud and merciless, and at the end of it all, there is only one figure that stands triumphant above all other pirates. Tim, say the name.
Tony Two-Tusk?
Tony Two-Tusk, baby.
Hey, Tony!
Tony! You know, I was actually I found this funny because I was like, I wonder how many friendly pirates that we encounter in like the South Sea Freebooters and stuff like that. Looked it up. Tony Two-Tusk is the only one.
Wow. What a fucking goat, dude.
Truly, he is him. But yes, with smoke now rising over the bay, the chaos settling into the rhythm of trade once more, Gazlo counts his coins, a grin wide and sharp. Tony Two-Tusk barking orders at the docks as his
Men begin loading up their ships, preparing to depart, coming to an agreement with Gazlo that the raids on his ships would come to an end and that he would depart with the South Sea Freebooters. And though this is just a small story that did not alter the course of worlds, it is a small, reshaped corner of the Horde's domination of this land that was once fully in their control. But the drums of war call you once again. Because Horde command has come down. The war in Ashenvale went great. Apparently they stomped everybody out over there. That's really good to hear. Though we have gotten an all points bulletin, everyone is to meet up in Ashenvale as we prepare to push into the next area of the campaign, the Stonetalon Mountains.
I'm excited about the Stonetalon Mountains. It looks completely different. I was flying through it for a Halloween event. Completely different, dude.
Yep. And this is the exact story why I was like, we need to talk about this. Like, even if we change it up a little bit next week or something, we need to talk about this story first.
Hey, you know how you're always telling people to listen to Tides of Lore?
Of course, I am my own biggest fan.
Well, now it's even easier. We're on Apple Podcasts, Audible, Castbox, Spotify, and YouTube.
So I can tell them, wherever you listen, that they can just hit subscribe or follow.
Exactly. No matter where you are, Azeroth Stories will find you.
But yes, as the plains of the Barrens fade to memory behind you, you arrive at Silverwind Refuge, beginning your start in Krom'gar's campaign. This military push to seize and fortify the mountain passes of Stonetalon. You mount a supply wagon bound for a area inside Stonetalon known as the Fold, this narrow pass, and the journey is perilous as these night elves hunt you along the cliffs, loosening arrows from unseen perches, ambushing you swiftly and silently as the wheels of your carriage turn deeper and deeper into this territory that is still seemingly contested. Where the forest stillness then hides behind you, you arrive at the Fold. And this rough-hewn encampment carved into the cliff face, and you meet this figure known as Sarbaz, a grizzled overseer with a wrench in one hand and a disdain in the other, saying, "Filthy good-for-nothing night elves." They've managed to disarm our entire minefield in the Talon Deep Pass. Here's a perfect task for the worthless grunts like you who have just arrived on the front lines. Run up there to that windy ridge and just reset all those explosive mines. I'm sure you'll be fine. And you just go, "Yes, honey." But yes, you restore the Horde's strength on the pass, and with the pass secured, the outpost falls into this uneasy silence because this grim news then washes over you that Blastgineer Fusewhizzle, one of Sarbar's main engineers, he's vanished. While scouting in the Windshear mine 2 days ago, they hadn't seen him since. So they tell you, head out of here, and for his sake, he better be dead. And you track him down, and shockingly, he's dead. Clutching a crumpled note in his hand, a blood-soaked paper reveals the chilling truth that the Alliance is moving. So, the note in the Blastgineer's hand leads you to a stolen Alliance intelligence, plans that lead to a massive strike against the Horde's stronghold in this region, known as Krom'gar Fortress. So, you infiltrate enemy lines, you recover the documents, and you return to the camp under the cover of darkness. You march through the path towards the heart of the Horde's war machine. Overlord Krom'gar himself greets you at the fortress gates. This massive, scarred, radiating arrogance figure. He examines the papers and grunts with approval, saying, "Perhaps that this grunt is more than they appear, and that they will be leading this campaign, a campaign that they will absolutely crush," he says. And you quickly find that these mountains are no longer the neutral ground for druids that they once were. They have become a furnace for Krom'gar's ambition, and you currently stand at the heart of it. This campaign igniting, you run your first counteroffensive into Alliance territory. Your orders are simple: burn everything. You turn the forest canopy into a pyre. Scars on the mountainside, screams and smoke rise together as the Horde's vengeance begins to consume these slopes, as the chants begin to rise over the land. Krom'gar, Krom'gar, strength above all, mercy beneath none. And with the Night Elf strongholds in ruins, the campaign escalates even further as you sweep to dominate every ridge and valley surrounding the fortress. You are entrusted with with leading bombardments and reinforcing newly captured positions. siege or newly captured positions as siege engines thunder, shaking the peaks. Krom'gar's flag raises higher and higher with each assault. The Overlord's doctrine becomes very clear: victory through annihilation, victory at all cost. But that is when word reaches you that Marshal Palro, this decorated Alliance officer that commands this residence deep within the mountains, has arrived, and that it is now your job to go find him and end him. And you do that. You're the greatest level 20 orc since the last 20 orc. We keep going over this, right? Paltrow fights to his last breath, rallying soldiers to his side, but regardless, you strike him down, and his banner falls beside him to the dust. And when you return, Krom'gar's praise is curt and cold, that the Horde has no need for heroes, only instruments of will. And the fortress roars in approval, not for justice, but for dominance. And that's when you get a message from Garrosh Hellscream. And you open up this note, and it simply says, "The war expands. Move fast." And you're like, very helpful. But Krom'gar takes this, and he sees it that it is time to see what they've been doing and up it to 25, to take it even further. And that's where your next post will bring you to another goblin figure known as Bombguts. Commander Bombguts. And he gestures towards the Horde siege machines, and he's like, "We got a fortress to defend. I'm fresh out of parts." That's where you come in. So there's no room for protesting. You're a soldier. This is what you're here to do on this campaign. Get out there. So you begin scavenging through the wreckages of all of these previous battles, finding all the parts that you need, ripping through these twisted remains of these siege units scattered across the gullies of Stonetalon. And with that, you return back to Commander Bombguts, twisted bolts, cracked plating, and scorched gears rattling in your pockets. And he just tells you that he's currently working on what he's calling a working prototype, something that Krom'gar will love it. And if that's any note, we'll see how that goes. So, you continue your war effort, the campaign out here in Stonetalon. Alliance patrols are moving swiftly through the ravines, targeting Bombguts workers before their repairs can stabilize the siege machines. And the orders are here now. You must protect the peons or you will lose the front. So you rush to the cliffs where these arrows are streaking through the haze, these night elf ambushers leaping from the shadows. And as the fight rages amongst the shattered rock and the crumbling paths, engineers scream for cover as you cut through the attacker's steel, clashing against these moon-forged blades. And when the final sentinels fall, silence falls across the pass, broken only by the hiss of siege machines warming to life and Bombguts' laughter echoing faintly through the smoke. And as the smoke clears, Bombguts' patient vanishes, and he's like, if the peons aren't working, then they're the ones that are the problem. And once again, you are tasked with whipping more peons into shape. You know what? They like to repeat this quest, but I'm here for it. I'm always for smacking around peons.
More work.
But
work need doing.
with that celebration being
Work need doing.
Alrighty.
got it. What's your guys' favorite Warcraft 3 quote? Let me know in the comments. It's another question I'm interested in. But yes, as that celebration is cut short by a deafening horn, the Alliance forces launching a direct assault on Krom'gar Fortress, Bombguts screams orders that for siege machines to roll into position, and catapult crews scramble to load. You take your place upon the ramparts as waves of attackers surge through the smoke and shrapnel, arrows raining down from the cliffs as the walls shake under the thunder of the bombardment. You fight alongside the grunts, engineers, and peons alike, each battle cry drowned out by the roar of exploding munitions and churning siege machines. The air burns with oil, and at the end of it all, the Horde stands victorious. But despite this, victory feels heavy. And when the last fires at Krom'gar Fortress gutter out, Bombguts wastes no time, handing down your next orders saying that you've got potential and you need to ride north to Malakajin. Yeah, bro, I fucking nailed that first time. Hell yeah. Malakajin, settled in the Perch Cliffs and a spiritual leader for new intelligence for what's going on in the zone. So you go meet up with this guy, and you're like, hey, I was told to meet up with you, that you would be able to help me out. And he's like, yes, I can help you. You need to bring me the stuff I need, and I'll do this ritual in this smoke here, in this fire, and we'll be able to give you all the information you need. And you're like, that sounds incredibly sensical. I will help you with that. So you go, you confront a variety of different enemies, collecting their heart and their horns and their crystals and all of their things that you need, and you complete all of these rituals. And when the final crystals and everything fuses, the chanting of Zinjil ceases, and this blessing falls upon you. like a storm breaking over the peaks. The air hums as this ghostly mask spins in the air, their whispers threading through your armor as this witch doctor raises his staff high, saying that the spirits like you. And he says with pride, now go, show the Overlord what the mountains have taught you, as you have been empowered by the spirits of these Loa and these rituals by completing these tasks. And you go to return and be like, hey, I did the ayahuasca like you asked me to. But as it seems that at last the mountains are growing still, you come into a quest known as All Quiet on the Southern Front, which I think is just ironic. But as you continue to make your way back to the Krom'gar's fortress, the mountains wind carry this mingled scent of ash, oil, and iron as you descend from the sacred ridges of Malakajin back towards the Horde's outpost. You see watchtowers that have risen unchallenged, siege lines standing still, and Krom'gar's crimson banners fluttering across the ridgeline in an eerie silence. And at the base of the valley, Commander Grebo greets you with a sharp grin and a wary glance, saying that all quiet, everything's good. And you're like, that's never good news in Stonetalon. And your orders are then to go report what he calls the beginning of the end to Krom'gar Fortress. And a stillness before the storm seems to be settling in your body. And as you arrive in Krom'gar Fortress, the fortress buzzes with ambition and dread as Krom'gar's lieutenants whisper that Garrosh Hellscream is taking notice of their progress, that victory here could mean glory back in Orgrimmar. They might even get a promotion, dude. But as the truth begins to settle in your gut that this war has become a machine that no one can stop, that something is beating at the heart of it like a living thing waiting to wake, you are then tasked with seeking out spies within the ranks. Night Elf infiltrators have been sighted along the upper ridges, cutting supply lines, feeding intelligence to the Alliance. And Overlord Krom'gar's patience has snapped. He tells you to hunt them down. No mercy, no prisoners. So you go. You slay all of these infiltrators, and when the last body hits the dirt, the paranoia thickens rather than fading. Krom'gar's lieutenants whisper of more spies, more traitors, even more among the Horde's own ranks that are betraying them. And as this tension builds to a breaking point, you are then tasked with overseeing the transport of Krom'gar's latest secret weapon, a massive bomb forged in the fortress's heart, and you're taking it to its newest staging point as goblins swarm over this bomb like zealots, tightening bolts and muttering equations under their breath, oil slickening the ground. The air smells of ozone and ambition. The last chain is secured. Overlord Krom'gar himself approaches, his armor gleaming like polished blood. He claps a hand on your shoulder, his eyes blazing, saying that it's all coming together now. Soon the Alliance will learn what fear really means. And again, through all of this, you can feel the storm gathering in the stillness, the quietness on the front that is Stonetalon. And that's when your next order does come down. To Battlescar. Commander Grebo's encampment waits at the front lines, and a sprawl of tents and siege engines buried in soot. When you arrive, this orc's face is taut and furious, filled with suspicion, as he says that the Tauren at Cliffwalker Post have gone soft, and that their chieftain hides druids and shelters traitors and defies the Overlord's will. But the Cliffwalker is a Tauren of honor and restraint, and pleads for reason. He insists that the druids of that grove are peaceful, protectors of the forest who seek no war, though his warning has already fallen on deaf ears, as Grebo's thirst for obedience eclipses the truth. The drums of Krom'gar's army beat louder in your ears as you stand between two leaders divided by loyalty and conscience. As Cliffwalker's voice trembles, he entrusts you with a father's plea, saying that his son has gone to the grove to uncover the truth behind Grebo's accusations, and he tells you to find his boy and find the truth that he sought. So when you go there, the air is thick with smoke as you find the corpses of many druids lying among the roots, one of them being Orthus, lying lifeless, gripping in his hand Krom'gar's general's insignia. And the truth is unthinkable yet undeniable. Grebo murdered him to bury the evidence of his own deceit. The mountain winds wail like mourning spirits as you carry the insignia back to Cliffwalker. So you tell him, you're like, hey, Grebo killed your son. And he's like, well, I'm going to have to kill that man. As you're telling him this, General Grebo storms into the post, his voice dripping with venom, and he tells you that you're lying, that Cliffwalker is the traitor, he roars, as his blade flashes into a fight. Together, you and the chieftain fight the murder of his son, and Grebo falls to your combined fury. And with the echo of Grebo's death fading, you hear another sound. Marching boots. As Krom'gar's army descends upon Cliffwalker Post like a black tide, Krom'gar himself leads the charge, his eyes alight with fury as he yells that you are traitors, and he bellows, pointing at the stunned Tauren defenders, saying that you dare to defy the Horde. And the scene unfolds in horror as he begins to burn the outpost, soldiers slaughtering the Cliffwalker's warriors, and even his mate, Masha Cliffwalker, who throws herself before the chieftain. And as he's there, bound and forced to his knees, Cliffwalker can only watch as his home and people are razed. And that's when above, a zeppelin drifts across the smoke, its silhouette blotting out the stars. Suspended beneath it, a glimmering, humming, immense object hangs, Krom'gar's bomb. The sky itself feels heavy with judgment, and the valley holds its breath as Krom'gar stands atop the battlements, his eyes blazing with triumph as he says, "Watch now, Cliffwalker," as he sneers, gesturing towards the sky. As this battle comes to its glorious conclusion, Cliffwalker tries to warn him, but it is too late. He tells him that you are about to cross a terrible threshold, Krom'gar. May the Earth Mother have mercy on your soul. And with a blinding flash, the Taldera Grove erupts and blindingly disappears in an explosion, followed by a roar that swallows the mountains as the earth itself convulses, the trees igniting like torches, sacred waters boiling away into a vapor. And when the fires finally fade, nothing remains. A vast crater glowing beneath falling ash. A sanctuary once tended to by druids, both of Horde and Alliance, erased. Its defenders reduced to dust. What do you think about this, Tim?
This isn't the first time. I mean, well, maybe it is the first time the Horde is used in the story, I guess.
Well, I mean, we were just seeing it like more and more bombs in Ashenvale, I feel like, right? Like more goblins used, more tech, more bombs, bigger bombs, more bombs. And it's almost ironically like reminiscent of real life, where it's like this arms race to make a bigger and bigger bomb without maybe questioning the
So this is the start. Testing out
ethics
these
of using bombs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sound familiar?
But that is where one of the most interesting scenes happens. So let's talk about it, shall we? As the smoke has barely settled down, the air splits with a crackling energy. A portal tears open, and looking down upon these ruins steps forth Warchief Garrosh Hellscream. Flanked by his Kor'kron guards, his eyes wide as he takes in the devastation, the smoking crater, the ash, the silence, and he asks, "What have you done, Krom'gar?" And the Overlord drops to his knees, trembling in panic, saying, "Warchief, I was only carrying out your command." Garrosh's face darkens, his voice snarls in disbelief as he says, "My command? Was my command to murder innocents, Krom'gar? Am I a murderer?"
Yes.
And I mean, yeah, for sure you are, Garrosh. Like, you actively killed non-combatants. Like, even if you didn't do a lot of the worst things that I feel like you get shit for doing, yeah, you're a murderer. Like, it's almost something that I feel like you're, and we'll talk about it later for sure, but this this line throws a lot of Garrosh did nothing wrong logic out of my mind really fast, because I'm like, even by his own admission, he's like, this is, anyway, let's keep going, because this is a really important scene, so we'll hop in on it probably a lot in the comments and maybe later. But he says, and as this question hangs like thunder, the soldiers stare at their warchief, at this ruined triumph and the echo of what they've seemingly become. As the very stones of this fortress seem to tremble beneath Garrosh's rage, his words crash like thunder. He says, "I sent you to Stonetalon with an army. Your orders were to secure this land for the Horde, and instead you laid waste to it. Murdered innocents, children even." Krom'gar stammers, trembling as Garrosh glare burns into him, and he says, I did what was necessary. As Garrosh tone softens not with pity, but with pain, he says, "I spent a long time in Northrend, Krom'gar. I learned much about the Horde there. A wise old war hero," Varrock Sourfang, by the way, "told me something I will carry forever. Honor, Krom'gar, no matter how dire the battle. Never forsake it."
Oh, yeah?
And around, yeah, dude, for sure.
And does he always uphold to that?
Oh, I mean,
What about...
he has so far, right?
Tell me about Theramore.
So it flooded during the Cataclysm, but we'll talk about the Alliance side of stuff a little bit later. And around you falls silence as these soldiers who were once chanting Krom'gar's name now can't even look at him. And in that moment, the true Hordes, its ideals and failings stand bare before the fire of this event. And Garrosh's words give way to judgment. He seizes Krom'gar by the throat, dragging him to the edge of the great bridge, and says that you have disgraced the Horde. You have brought shame to us as a people. And as Krom'gar claws at his armor, saying, Warchief, please, Garrosh's eyes burn with righteous fury, and he says, and by my right as Warchief, I hereby relieve you of duty. And his grip tightens. He says, you are dismissed. And he hurls him off into the abyss as Krom'gar screams, fading into the wind.
He yeeted him. Yeeted and deleted.
Oh, he yeeted him. And then he turns to you and he's like, and you're next, buddy boy. I wonder how far I can throw you. You look even lighter. But High Chieftain Cliff Walker steps forward saying, wait, that we were the ones that were trying to uncover this corruption, that I was trying to stop Krom'gar, and that he should have mercy on us. And that's when Garrosh is surprised. He's like, mercy? He's like, your wife and children were murdered. Your kin were wiped out. Your home was burned to the ground. And Cliff Walker bows his head and he says, yes, Warchief. And still I ask mercy. And Garrosh holds for a long, heavy moment. And then, softer than anyone expects, he says, mercy. Chieftain, on this day, I learned that from you. And he turns and tells you that if you want to prove yourself as still being a champion of the Horde, that you should now make your way to either the lands of Deathless or the Southern Barrens. And he then tells you that regardless of your choice, never forget that Hellscream's eyes are always upon you. And he departs, teleporting back again as the sky over Stonetalon echoes with a glow that is dull and red from a wound that seems like it will not heal soon. The bomb is gone. The Overlord is dead. The scars will remain. And High Chieftain Cliff Walker remains amid the ruin, kneeling beside you, and then making his way over to his wife's form as smoke curls upwards around that distant crater of the grove. He tells you that he will stay, that he's going to bury his mate and begin to heal this land. As you then remember your final task given to you by your Warchief, you begin making your way to a new land to continue the Horde's conquest throughout the lands of Azeroth, as the words again echo through your head: honor, no matter how dire the battle, never forsake it. That's all we're going to talk about today.
Will he stay this way?
I guess you'll have to subscribe to find out on the next episode of Dragon Balls of Tides of Lore. Any questions, comments, concerns about this episode specifically?
It's bomb.
I'm really, yeah.
Who made it? The goblins?
Definitely the goblins, yeah.
This is the start of many.
You see them certainly. Like I said, it is like a very similar of a real world arms race where it's just like bigger weapons. But again, it does fit that. I mean, I don't want to talk about it now, but when we do get down the line, maybe it does fit Garrosh's character a bit more, that it does go the way it does. But still, yeah, this is such a crazy storyline to again have, and then very next expansion have that crazy shit happen. The pre-patch.
Yeah, it's like, what? Did he just go crazy? Did something take control of him? Like, what the fuck happened?
Again, it's just like, it seems like they stopped writing the guy who is like getting resources, even if they were dangerous, for the sake of winning, and just started writing a character that was just like, I just need to kill as many people as possible.
He's a bad guy.
Yeah, it is a bit disappointing, but I am still happy we've gone through this. And like I've said, reading a lot of the, especially that last novel, I've really gained a lot more appreciation for Garrosh, and I'm hoping that I'll encounter more stuff like that, though. We have already kind of begun on the downturn for him, so who knows. But yeah, if you guys did make it this far and you did enjoy the episode, please make sure you drop us a like, a comment, a subscribe. If you do have a hype button, like we mentioned, please hit that hype button. It gets us, you have no idea how much it helps us in the algorithm. So please, I'm desperate. YouTubers, hype button. If you're over on Spotify or any of those other platforms, 5 stars or a follow would be absolutely incredible. And if you just cannot get enough of us, consider checking out our Patreon, where we do some more exclusive stuff, do some more like updates and personal stuff, and yeah.
Hardcore coming soon.
But that
Homie's coming back
Yes,
from vacation.
More hardcore coming soon.
Hardcore is coming soon.
Yeah, we had a bit of a delay. We had people moving. We had stuff going on. But yeah, we're trying to get back on schedule from our hiccup. But appreciate you guys over there. Thank you. I do want to, again, I know I already put this at the beginning, but if you are a Patreon member, you guys are seriously such cool fucking people. You guys have really helped us to amplify what this has turned into. We, over the last, I like to give little updates here, but over the last 2 weeks, we managed to hit 10,000 hours listened to, which is almost 500 days of time of our videos listened to just on YouTube. That doesn't even include Spotify, which is pretty much like the same numbers. We've been hitting like 30,000 views a month, which a lot of those are shorts and stuff that we've been releasing, but even those shorts have been made possible by amazing people like our Patreons and stuff like that. So thank you so much. You guys really are just the fucking greatest people in the world. Big old smooches are still being offered for anyone that does want to join up with that, but that is all we got to talk about this week. And if you enjoyed it here, we will see you next week. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this episode. Your guys' support truly means the world to us. If you're interested in hearing more, we have our full show on YouTube and Spotify, new episodes dropping every Tuesday. I also want to take this moment to give a special thank you to Fantasy Lo-Fi for providing the music for this episode. You can find them on YouTube at Fantasy Lo-Fi or on Spotify under Bits and Hits. Be sure to show them some love as their music does truly bring this journey to life. Once again, thank you for joining us on Tides of Lore, and we will see you next week.